People under the age of 40 used to control 19% of the nation's GDP. Their wealth amounted to 19%. In the last 40 years, it's gone from 19 to 9. A person over the age of 70 is now 72% wealthier than they were, people over the age of 70 were 40 years ago. But a person under the age of 40 is 22% less wealthy than they were 40 years ago. And you think, well, what's happened? Has the economy slowed down? No. Productivity continues to rip upward and to the right. This weird thing happened in 1971 where basically wages and productivity followed each other like two snakes intertwined. The nation became more productive, wages went up. Nation got a lot more productive, wages went way up. And then in 1971, something happened, and that is wages flatlined. And that is we decided that the majority of the spoils of increases in productivity, and now we produce more in a month than we did an entire year in the 50s, would go to shareholders. And there's some benefits to that. The markets go up. It makes it more attractive to start a business. We have the best capital markets in the world. But the wage earners or the middle class or the young who get the majority of their income through current income started falling behind. So you think, well, okay, why did that happen? It happened because we decided to make it happen. And that is the two largest tax breaks in American society are mortgage interest and capital gains. Who owns stocks and homes? People my age. Who rents and makes their money through current income? People your age. So while each year I likely have more income than you, because it comes in the form of capital gains, dividends, selling stocks, I pay a lower tax rate than you do. That makes no sense. So, and then if you look back on, well, how's this happened? Our leadership, our elected representatives are the oldest in the world. And every year they get older because they have figured out a way to create incumbency where 95% of the time the incumbent is reelected. So we have a Speaker of the House that is 81, a Senate Minority Leader that is 82, a Senate Majority Leader that is 72, and a president that if he's reelected will leave the West Lawn for the last time in Marine One at the age of 86. And his competitor will be an obese 82-year-old if he gets reelected and leaves for the last time. And then the first two states that dictate the presidential race are Iowa and Maine, two of the oldest states in the union. So what do you have? You end up with programs like Social Security. And people, that's a third rail. I can never run for office because I've said I don't think Social Security is executed well. Why are we, when I say we, why are you in your cohorts, working cohorts, and I'm still one of them, under the age of 50, why are you transferring $1.5 trillion of wealth every year to the wealthiest cohort in the history of the planet, U.S. seniors? Shouldn't it be the other way around? So why the cohort that has killed it and is wealthier gets $1.5 trillion from young people in the form of Social Security? I'm not saying we should do away with it. There's no reason why I should ever get Social Security. There's no reason my dad should be getting Social Security. And people say, well, it's a pension. I put money in. The average Social Security recipient will take out 2 to 3 times what they put in. It's called Social Security tax, not Social Security pension fund, meaning that a tax goes into the kitty such that it might help people, other people, benefit the country, and you might not benefit directly from it. So everything we've done, I would argue, over the last 50 years has been to execute a transfer of wealth from young people to old people. And as a result, we end up with a breaking of the most basic of social compacts. And we end up with rage and shame. And I think we can fix it. We need to bring down the cost of education. Kids can no longer access the American dream as easily. Housing has skyrocketed because we made taxes lower, so money went into the market. If you already own a home, it's great. But what if you're trying to buy a home? It's gotten so incredibly expensive. What if you're trying to get a degree? So I think the bad news is we have transferred all this wealth from young to old people. The good news is these are problems of our own making and we can unmake them. But we have to revert to where past generations were, and that is willing to make sacrifices to invest in the health of younger generations. And some, they talk about the greatest generation. Baby boomers are by far the greediest generation. It seems like everything we do is such that we can upgrade Nana and Pop Pop from Carnival cruises to Crystal cruises. It needs to stop. We need to start investing in young people again.
Yeah. And what do you think the implications are for the future if we don't start investing in young people?
Violence and revolution. I mean, what you have here, it has so many knock-on effects because who it's really hurt is young men. And that is a lot of the jobs that young men used to have as on-ramps into the middle class were generally industries that over-index male, manufacturing, frontline work. Those jobs have been outsourced overseas. In addition, once we leveled the playing field academically, women just blew by men. Women are more mature, they're more disciplined, they're better at delaying gratification. And over the next 5 years, we're going to have 2 women graduate from college from every 1 man. Now you think, well, fine, women deserve it. It's time, it's their time. There's a lot of knock-on effects here, though. So we don't like to talk about this on the left, but essentially women made socioeconomically horizontally and up, men horizontally and down. Or put another way, a woman with a college degree isn't interested in marrying a man without a college degree. Marriage has become a luxury item. If you're a man and you're in the upper quintile, there's a 75% chance you'll get married. If you're in the lowest quintile, it's a 25% chance you're going to get married. So you have a lot of loneliness on both ends, and you have this mating inequality where if Tinder were a country, it would be like Venezuela, and that is if you have 50 men and 50 women on Tinder, 42 of the women will show all of their attention to just 8 men, leaving 42 men fighting over 8 women. Because women have a much finer filter around mating. Guys see a picture on Tinder and go, oh, she's cute, swipe right. Women have much finer criteria. And when they can apply it to everybody because everybody is available online, or at least theoretically, they get a chance to implement their filter. Whereas before we had these geographic mating ring fences. So you went to temple every Friday. There were 8 single women and 8 single men, and you kind of all slowly but surely, paired off and figured it out. Now, the top 10% of attractiveness of males engage in what I call Porsche polygamy, and that is they get 80 to 90% of the interest, which doesn't lead to long-term relationships and, quite frankly, bad behavior. 50 to 90 in terms of attractiveness for men do okay or the same, but the bottom half of men in terms of attractiveness have been totally shut out of the mating market. It makes them angry, detached. They're more likely to be prone to misogynistic content. They think it's a woman's fault. They're more likely to believe in conspiracy theory. They're less likely to believe in climate change. And generally speaking, online dating has just made it a little bit shittier for all women. So what we have is an entire cohort of what I call emotionally and economically unviable men. And so women are leveling up, and it's great, but they're not interested in the men our society is producing right now. And the most violent, unstable societies in the world all have too many of the same thing, and that is a broke and lonely young man. And we are producing too many of them. So leveling up and making a massive investment in young people, vocational programming, more seats, freshman seats in universities, tax and fiscal policy that restores some of that income and wealth to younger generations, that will level up all young people, but it'll have a disproportionately powerful effect on men who have taken the brunt of some of these structural changes over the last 40 years.
I am loving this topic. And I have a really funny story to share that I think correlates with a lot of your data and research. So I have a social media client. His name is Marshall Goldsmith. He's this legendary executive coach, best-selling author. I manage his social media. And so whenever he meets with me and my business partner, Kate, he's always telling us I don't understand how you girls aren't married. He's just like, all the young men today, they're just terrible. You guys have to marry down. My daughter had to marry down. If you guys want to get married, you've got to think about marrying down. And he's like, the only way you guys are going to get married is if you marry down, which we laugh. We're both in happy relationships, and we laugh at him because we're like, okay, Marshall, but it actually correlates with what you're saying. So I'd love to understand, what is marriage rates like in this country? Are people getting married less? And how does that impact the economy and impact, society overall?
Well, it depends on the cohort. Wealthy people, kind of middle income to upper income, their marriage rates are holding mostly strong. People are having kids later in life or having fewer kids. So we could run into a birth dearth, which is bad for the economy, fewer people to support those Social Security payments. And another myth is overpopulation. It's time we just stop talking about it. And that is when you have a kid, that kid will take resources, maybe produce carbon, maybe eat meat or other crimes against humanity. But most likely that person, that kid, that baby girl or baby boy is going to come up with wonderful innovation that makes the world a better place. You need more people. And this notion of overpopulation, there's certain parts of the earth that are overpopulated. But just get on a plane from New York to San Francisco, look down 100 times, 95 times, there's nothing. There's literally nothing. And so we want to encourage economically and emotionally viable people to have kids. Kids are a wonderful thing. I would have never thought it. I had no interest in kids. but I've really, really enjoyed it. The marriage rates flat to declining across society as a whole, but it's really fallen off a cliff for people who are middle or lower income or on the bottom median.